Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about the top 5 cheesiest strategies in Age of Empires 2, but the ones that actually work. Listen, you can make anything a cheese strategy. If it doesn't work, it's not very interesting because, you can do just about anything and then resign afterwards and it might be fun, but it's not very useful. And although there's a space in my heart for those strategies because they're fun and they're exciting, let's focus on the ones that are actually possible and that you can actually do or you might be able to have some success with. So these strategies are still pretty cheesy, but are quite strong in their own right. So let's go ahead and hop right in at number 5. Alright, starting things off, guys, at number 5, we've got the Berber Villager Rush. Now, this is pretty popular and quite known at this point, but the Berber Villager Rush is one of those things where if your opponent doesn't expect it, it is very powerful. Keep in mind, this was recently nerfed. The Berber Villager speed went down from 10% to 5% in a recent patch in Dark Age. However, they still get 10% moving villagers or faster moving villas in Feudal Age onwards. But in Dark Age, 5% faster moving villagers is still enough. And the way this strategy works is if you go Berbers, you send a few villagers forward in Dark Age, say 3 or 4, and you hit your opponent's lumber camp nice and early. Now, normally they've got two options. You're hitting their lumber camp villagers. They either can fight you back, in which case they're going to lose because you have loom and you can always run away your low HP vills, so you should never lose a vill. And if they fight you back and they have a low HP vill, they try to run it to their town center, you can actually chase it down, and if it's low enough, you can kill it before it gets to the town center because you move faster. And if they choose to not fight you at their lumber camp and you caught them by surprise, they'll just run their villagers back to their town center, but that's when you just wall in their lumber camp and there's nothing they can do about it. Their lumber camp is now useless. They have to either break the walls or make a new one, and that's very costly since it's very early on in the game. Really strong and really annoying cheese strat, and then you just go ahead and harass them with your forward villagers until they basically, are forced to go crazy and chase you away with like a bunch of villagers, or they just continue taking small damage. You're walling in their gold, you're walling in their berries, and they'll soon give up pretty much. Very annoying strategy and definitely one to have up your sleeve with the Berbers. Next up at number 4, we've got the Portuguese Fast Castle Organ Guns. Now listen, there's a lot of fast castle strategies out there with unique units, and I wouldn't consider them cheesy strategies, but the reason why this one is considered very much a cheesy strategy is because of how fast you can actually do it. Portuguese can do a 23 pop plus 2 villages in Feudal Age into Castle Age at 25 pop, and then you drop a castle forward with like 7 or 8 fills, and you can start producing organ guns. You can also mix in some rams or mangonels, and you can go for an absolute deadly push. Of course, you've got very little economy at home, but it doesn't matter because you're able to kill your opponent before they're able to get the castle age or before they're able to even react to your push. Who needs economy at home? And this is one of those cheesy strategies that can actually see a lot of good play on Arena and Hideout, amongst other maps. It does take some practice to get down this build order, so it's not a completely brain dead strategy, but it's still pretty cheesy and definitely one that if your opponent doesn't react to you properly, they insta-lose to it. Like, there's nothing they can do against organs and siege when they're not very well prepared against it. If they are prepared against it though, Redemption Monks just completely shuts down the strategy, so it's one of those things that you need to catch your opponent off guard. Alright, moving on to number 3. This time we've got a very familiar strategy at higher levels of the game. This is actually quite a popular one, and it's the Goths Villager Forward to Lame. This is completely different than the Berber Villager Rush. In this one, the Goth player will just go ahead and get his instant loom with the Goths, so they're not wasting time with their town center to get loom. They send one villager forward, and they're going to go ahead and kill your boar, kill your deers, and then after that's done, then they'll start walling in your berries and walling in your gold. But their main target is to prevent you from taking your hunt, and if they're able to get there fast enough, they can deny up to 2 boars and 3 or 4 deer, and usually they get just 1 boar, but that's still pretty good. This is one of the most frustrating things to play against because even if you're able to stop the lame and push the villager away, they usually just run around your base for a long time, get out of your vision, and then they can make a 4 barracks and start harassing you with cheap Dark Age Goth militia. So even if you defend the early lame and you get by even when you're down a boar, then you still have to deal with militia out of nowhere from the back of your base, and it's just a nightmare because the Goths make the game so messy so fast. Definitely one of those things you see very often when Goths are on the table. Alright, next up at number 2. This is my personal favorite because honestly, I don't even think this is a cheesy strategy per se. I think it's actually just a really strong strategy, and that is the Turks Fast Imperial. If you guys want to know how to do this one, I have a full-on build order available to my Patreon users and my Twitch subscribers. If you're interested, you can go ahead and do either of those things to get access to this build order, as well as other build orders that I have in that PDF document. I've got like 10. But this one is so OP. Like, if you're looking for easy ELO, like easy games, easy wins on the ranked ladder. I highly recommend you pick this up. At least you can know how to do it if you're an Arabia player. Whenever you get arena, instead of playing some like standard arena civ and then probably losing because your opponent knows arena more than you do, just Turks fast imp your opponent. You pick up Turks, you go for like some 29 +2, so you end up in Imperial Age with 33 builds. You can get like a minute 20 and 5 seconds Imperial Age. Like that's how fast it is. You're in Imperial Age at minute 20, and then you go for hand cannons and bombard cannons. And that is so incredibly strong because at minute 20, your opponent is most likely going to be like 3 or 4 town centers and just booming in Castle Age. And how do you stop hand cannons and bombard cannons when you're in Castle Age? So here's the thing, like hand cannons, oh, those are easy to stop. We'll go skirms and archers, no problem. Crossbow with ballistic, it's fine. But then bombard cannon counters that. And okay, bombard cannon alone does nothing because you can just go like knights, that's fine. But then hand cannon deals with knights. So like what actually stops the Turks fast imp? The truthful answer is nothing actually counters it. The only way to beat the strategy is to go all in Castle Age or to have a super specific civilization that can kind of match the fast imp and also like deal with the push. But otherwise you just have to outplay the Turk player by going for like all in like Castle Age knights, light cav plus skirms. You have to do like a mix of everything. You stay forever Castle Age, never go imp, and then somehow be able to beat him out and get to such high population that the fast imp can't kill you. But of course at most levels, like up to like 2k4, no one really knows how to deal with Turk fast imp. So if you can execute the strategy properly, it's free wins, and it's one of my favorite strategies to do. I have tons of games on YouTube where I actually go ahead and do this, and they're all wins. All right, before I show you guys number one is a really cool strat, but I'm going to talk about an honorable mention. I'm sure you guys are expecting this somewhere on the list. It's the Persian douche. Listen, the reason why this is honorable mention, for those who don't know, the Persian town center drop has been in the game forever. Town centers for Persians have 4,800 HP, double the regular amount of HP for a town center, which is 2,400. And so Persians can delete their town center at home in Dark Age, go forward, build the town center in your face, and their town center now being 6 tiles away from your town center, they can kill your town center by garrisoning their town center with villagers, and you can't fight back because their town center has double the HP, so you'll never win. And so basically they kill your town center, you have to rebuild it somewhere else, and then they can even do it a second time if they want to, and it's just a really cancer strategy to deal with, and one that's like infamous around the AoE2 community. So the Persian douche makes the honorable mention, but the reason why I put it here and not in the list is because it's actually a losing strategy. This should never work in theory. Deleting your town center, running your builds forward has such a big cost to your economy that this should never work unless your opponent does some big mistakes or like reacts the wrong way. If they react the right way, they always win. If they make mistakes, then you have a chance to win. So it's still a good strategy, still a classic and iconic cheese strategy, but not one that makes my official list. All right, now finally the moment we've all been waiting for. Number one, this is actually a sick strategy, and it is the Cumans. 2 TC boom. Wait, that's not cheesy. Hold on. With a tower rush. This is a strategy that recently gained a lot of popularity, and it's so hard to stop. The way it works is you go 2 TC boom with Cumans at home, natural, but you also send 4 or 5 villagers forward and start tower rushing your opponent. The theory on this is that the tower rush will slow down your opponent and keep him in the feudal age for longer. In fact, it'll keep you in the feudal age for longer as well. However, you don't care. You actually prefer that because in the feudal age, you're on 2 TCs and you're doubling the amount of village production compared to your opponent. So normally if they go fast castle and they can try to siege push you, that's the weakness of 2TC. Or if they go for like a standard feudal age into castle age and they can add 3 town centers, so they're on 3 town centers, you're on 2, they can catch up in vills. But if you keep your opponent in feudal age, they can't do either of those approaches. And so all of a sudden, what do? How can they stop your 2TC boom if they're stuck in feudal age defending your tower rush? And honestly, I still don't have an answer to that question. That's why I ban Cumans in every single tournament match that I play. And that is what I'm going to continue to do until I figure out how to actually stop the different strategies that this civilization can do. And of course, this is just one of many 2TC approaches that you can do, but this is, in my opinion, the cheesiest and probably the hardest to deal with strategy from the Cumans. That's going to do it for this week's top 5, guys. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. Also, comment down below what top 5 you guys want to see next week, because I can use some ideas. I've done a ton of these videos, so at this point, ideas are pretty out there. I can definitely use some help. And of course, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care and bye for now. Peace. Have a nice day.